Hi. Thank you for attending today's reading. Let's begin. The Feeling. Real story. My dad died when I was 12. It was like somebody turned off the light. Everything became dull and lifeless. The wound had been healing for a long time. But finally, the house became brighter. And so did life. I stopped waking up at night hearing my mother's restrained sobs. Years passed. Dad's face began to fade. Only a black and white photo on my mother's bedside table reminded me of him. As well as the closet. Still full of his clothes. Every spring my mother cleaned up in there. It was like a ceremony on Father's birthday. She carefully pulled out his shirts and flattened them with her hands. Then she folded them up and laid them back down. Then she took out a box with his watch, pens, and other stuff. Sometimes she would say something about Dad. Something I had heard many times before, but more often she just cried in silence. And the large drops flowed down her pale cheeks, fell and left wet marks on the old fabric. At first, I accepted this tradition with respect and solemnity. Then, over time, it began to annoy me. What was it for? Why should we torture ourselves like that? After all, we couldn't step back in time. I asked Mom once, but she only smiled back with sorrow on her face. The new spring came and everything was repeated. In the end, I left her alone with this poor tradition. My life was full of bright colors. Not faded regret. I graduated from high school and moved to another city. Enrolling in college. Next spring Mom got very sick. I made use of a weekend and went to her. Mom lay nailed to a pillow with flu. I began to look after her with tenderness and compassion. As she had done for me long years ago. I made her tea with lemon. We talked until the darkness. Even laughed. She fell asleep. And I also went to bed with a light heart. I woke up early in the morning from a crash. I jumped up, rushed to Mother's room. She had fallen while trying to open Father's closet. Today was another birthday. I helped her up, sat on the bed and said angrily, "What are you doing? You mustn't get up." "Well, since you want it so much. Come on, let Emmy go over. Deal with his stuff this time." What a pointless, unnecessary ritual. I furiously tore open the cabinet doors. Dad's old sweaters fell on me from the top shelf. I instinctively closed my eyes and suddenly, the smell enveloped me. It was his smell. Dad's aftershave mixed with the smell of diesel, the smell of his hands. It was his smell. He grabbed me and whirled. As he always did after coming home. I heard a whisper when he tickled my cheek with his hair. "Who is the most beautiful girl in the world?" Quote. And I saw his face. It was so close. So clear as if I saw him just this morning. Memories stunned and disarmed me. My legs didn't hold. I helplessly fell down, covered with Dad's sweaters and began to wipe the downpour of tears with them. Frantically trying to catch the disappearing smell. I grabbed these old clothes in an attempt to remember. To seal it in my memory. Having a panic fearing that the moment would pass and I would lose it now and forever. But the face began to fade. The sense of a moment vanished like a haze. All this took only a few seconds. But the wound did reopen. Its edges became torn. And even time couldn't darn it without a scar anymore. Now, after so many decades, I can hardly remember my dad's features again. I remember the emotions that arose in me with the sudden awakening of the feeling that my dad was with me again. But I don't remember the feeling itself. I lost it. It was a real miracle that I was able to get there even for a moment. I am grateful for that chance and at the same time, I curse it. I wasn't a happy child anymore. Since then until the end of my life I have to live with this pain." End of story. Next story. I forgot I had an Apple C in my belly button. I was in my room, listening to a podcast and eating an apple. I finished the apple and threw it away. Went back to listening. A bit later I realized an apple seed had fallen out of the core when I'd chucked it into the trash. It was smooth and dark brown and pointy. So in it went. An hour later. I'm eating dinner alone in the house in the dark. I need to go to the bathroom. As I sit down on the toilet I felt something poking in my belly button. Huh. I thought. And reached in. I pulled it out. Hello again, good sir. End of story. Next story. It will take just 2 minutes to read this and change your thinking. 2 comments. Share. Save. Hide. Report. 89% upvoted. End of story. Next story. Am I the asshole for feeling like my boyfriend doesn't care about me? I'm dating this guy the first met through my best friend and I feel like he doesn't really care about me. Because he would usually ignore my texts and would reply like the next day or when he feels like replying, but then I find out he's on calls with my best friend. I'm not included in these calls. It's like they forget I exist. The same thing happened yesterday. I texted him but he didn't reply once. And I find out he's been on a call with my best friend. I told her he ignores my messages but she didn't say anything. I feel like I'm overreacting and they were friends before I dated him, so am I the asshole for feeling this way? End of story. Next story. My brother's girlfriend's cat likes me better than her. I have nothing against dogs, but I'm more of a cat person. I love cats more than anyone at the moment. Right now, I have 2 cats at my home. Actually, one cat isn't my cat, but he seemed to like me better. Back in June of this year, my younger brother, 21, had his girlfriend, at the time she was 19, move in with our parents. My stepdad said no cats, but she claimed that her cat, a plain black cat named BT, was a service cat. I don't know much about service animals and I was taught to not question anyone who claimed to have a service animal. However, I having second thoughts about it. The cat is always running away from her, always hiding under my bed. That's until I got my own kitten, a tabby cat I named Chad. That's when the black cat started to come out more. However, he still runs away from my brother's girlfriend. But not me. And she put the blame on me, saying, "It's your fault my cat hates me." Even my brother says it's my fault. I don't understand it at all why they blame me for her cat running away from her. I believe it has to do with her family. She admitted to me that her family wasn't kind to the cat at all and he was always locked in her bedroom. But I have this gut feeling that's more to the story than she's leading on. But I can't assume anything. As a cat person, I worry about why he runs away from her. But not me. End of story. That is all for today. If you want to support my automated channel, feel free to drop a like and subscribe. See you tomorrow.